Padres Hot Tub is a community-supported podcast. Sure, on the free feed, you get it, and you're just supporting us passively by being there, but there's a gigantic community that supports this podcast directly. The way they do it is patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. They sign up at levels as low as $5 a month, up to $30 a month, with all kinds of great benefits along the way. Allow me to share one of those benefits with you. How about ticket giveaways? It's Padres season. Over here, I got Padres tickets, and I gives them away to huge patrons, to big patrons. Big patron Eddie Bogarts went to Saturday's game on me because I did a big patron giveaway and said, hey, big patrons, who wants tickets? First come, first serve. They're up for grabs. Later, coming up before the next homestand, at least we'll have a full patron giveaway where it goes out on the regular feed to all the $5 as well. And we do that periodically through the year. I can't go to all the games. I can't sell more than half of them. I give away a lot of them. It's just another advantage to be a member. Never mind organizing concert outings, golf dates, all kinds of crazy fun things that are happening with our community, finding one another via our Discord. Find out more. Check it out for yourself. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. Welcome to the Padres Hot Tub, everybody. Craig Elsten, Chris Reed, Raphie Cantor, gathered on a Padres off day, Monday, April 28th.
Just another day the Padres didn't score any runs. Didn't get a single hit with runners in scoring position. Oh, man. Things are going so bad.
What's going on, fellas? Here we are. Hey, in times of rain, in times of drought, we're here nonetheless.
It was pointed out to me in the Discord this week that our theme song sounds like it came from the best video game ever to be produced, called Toe Jam and Earl. And if anybody else has made that observation, just know that we are definitely groovy.
I was gonna retort Schmevy with Bloomy McBloomer and just say the Padres can't lose today. So think about that one, Schmevy.
It's not that bloomer,
right? You got it. On the show today, notes on a Tampa series that we'd all just as soon easily forget. Obviously, notes on an offensive drought. What's our biggest offensive concern? We'll take a look at the whole team. We'll hopefully imagine on some guys that'll be back by the time we do our next full show coming up in a week. All of that to come on the program. Look, it's an 11-game trend now. It's gone beyond a tough road trip. It's stitched together enough that you've got numbers that you can really look at. The Padres are 3-8 in their last 11 games. And in those games, they've scored 23 runs. 11 times 2 is 22. So when you've scored 23, that means you're averaging 2 plus a tick, per game. And trying to win on 2 runs a game is naturally nigh upon impossible. Terrible teams that lose 100 games, try to win on 2 runs a game for week-long and month-long stretches. So the Padres doing this for a nearly 2-week stretch is a problem. It's not okay. They have spent a lot of the stuff they've banked up, which we'll talk about as we continue, but it's very easily diagnosed. Everyone's hurt. The replacements aren't hitting, and some of the regulars aren't hitting, and they've scored 23 runs in 11 games.
The White Sox were the worst team in the history of baseball last year, and they scored more than 2 runs a game.
Yeah. And Craig, we're gonna, I'm sure, dice up the last 11 games in every which way possible. But at the end of the day, we know what the issue is, and frankly, it's hard to see the issue improving much until we get our main guys back. Obviously, Luis Arraez is reportedly going to be returning tomorrow, coming off the concussions protocols, which is good news, of course. But there's no promise that a guy, just over a week after getting his bell rung in Houston and having to be, stretchered out with a cervical collar on him, like to just expect that he's going to pick up and be his former 3-time batting champion self, I think is a little bit of a tall order to ask. So, really, I think we're kind of hanging on until Jackson Merrill gets back and Jake Cronenworth after him.
Some other notes or numbers that just back this whole thing up. The Padres are hitting .204 as a team over the last 11 games. If you peel Tatis out of it, the rest of the team's hitting under 190. As a team, including Tatis, with runners in scoring position in those 11 games, 164. Obviously pathetic. And that leads directly to the next number, which I think is the most damning of it all. They've scored 23 runs in 11 games. The Padres have scored runs, any run at all, in 4 of their last 45 innings. Yeah, that's 5 games of innings, 4 total innings in which a run scored for the San Diego Padres. 41 where Jesse went, oh, it's a shutout inning, and we go to the we go to timeout, we go to the bottom of the inning, blah blah blah.
Yeah. And I think if I'm looking at this correctly, Craig, none of those innings featured a crooked number. They were all 1-run
Edwin
innings.
Diaz scored a 2-run homer.
2-run home run. Yeah.
So you got that going for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's solo stakes.
Do you guys know among the active players who has the second highest WRC plus after Fernando Tatis Jr.?
Second?
Judge?
No, I'm talking about on the team, on the Padres.
Oh. Tyler Wade?
Iglesias?
You are correct.
Oh,
Mr.
Wade.
Cantor.
Yeah.
It is Tyler locked in Wade. And I mean, that speaks to his output, which is very, very good. It also speaks to a lot of other people having no output.
Chris, is that on the whole season or just in these last 11 games?
I'm sorry, that's on the whole season among active
That
players.
is crazy, because the other stat that I was going to whip out for these last 11 games are that Fernando Tatis Jr. and Tyler Wade are the only ones of our everyday players right now that are above water from a WRC plus standpoint. Tatis with a 186, Tyler Wade with a 114. Everyone else, Jose Iglesias, 83 WRC plus. Gavin Sheets, 66. Xander Bogarts, 64. Oscar Gonzalez, 56. And Manny Machado with a 19 WRC plus in 35 plate appearances over the last 11 games.
Doesn't help. But as we were building the menu for the show today, one of the things that you brought up, Raphie, and I think it's really true, just looking at the most simple things at the beginning, right? And we're going to try and go under the hood as much as we can. But when you lose your top 3 left-handed hitters, right? Jackson Merrill, your best left-handed hitter. Luis Arraez, your next best left-handed hitter. Jake Cronenworth, your next best left-handed hitter. Gavin Sheets went from being the 4th lefty in the lineup, the number 7 or 8 hitter in the lineup, to hitting second, hitting 4th for the team. And Kevin Acee had a good note in his newsletter today that Sheets' chase rate since he moved up in the lineup has skyrocketed to death zone, to the zone of a guy that you could imagine would be DFA'd by the White Sox. That's the level to which Gavin Sheets has been either overexposed or is pressing in an attempt to make up for the absences of those around him.
Well, I hate to mess with the sample size a little bit, but last week we talked about how Gavin Sheets had 3 or 4 periods of whatever games it was at the time, 23, 24, whatever, where he had been as productive as he had, and like it had happened in his career. Well, in the last 27 plate appearances, 7 games, he has 10 strikeouts. 7 games, 10 strikeouts. He has only done that once in his career as a Chicago White Sox, and that was last year. So he is in as bad of a funk, at least from chasing and striking out, than he ever has before, coming off of some success that he had seen before. So his, like I think I alluded to, his valleys are very, very deep.
Yeah, it's true. That leads to the Tampa series. The Padres get swept. They could have won, I guess, all of the games with decent offense, but at least 1 or 2 with a little bit of offense. And again, another annoying trend that's happening. You carve all your lefty quality hitters out of the lineup, and all of a sudden, right-handed pitchers aren't that scared to attack the San Diego Padres, especially when the Padres have some mishmash of Oscar Gonzalez and a AAA hitter and a not hitting catcher, toward the bottom of the lineup with only Iglesias to, slap little singles to right field, in and amidst the group. The Padres started off when they were 15-4, they were 11-0 against right-handed starters. And since then, we've seen Littell win a game. We've seen Reese Olson completely shut down the Padres. We saw Shane Baz completely shut down the Padres on Friday. And it just seems like right-handers are feasting right now on a lineup that's filled with the only good hitters are right-handed, and then a lot of right-handed hitters that aren't that good.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're really seeing, unfortunately, is you mentioned an overexposure of Gavin Sheets. The overexposure of Oscar Gonzalez in the middle of the lineup, he kind of, in many ways, runs counter to what the team strategy at the plate has been, which is that certainly the Padres of 2022, 2023, they were a walk-focused team. 2024 into 2025, they were more of a contact-focused team. And we're just seeing Oscar Gonzalez, like the tape is in on him, the book is in on him. He is swinging at everything and not making a ton of contact. And when he does, frequently weak. He's unfortunately, because of where he's sitting in the lineup right now, 5th or 6th, hitting into a lot of double plays. That's something that we're obviously going to talk about with Xander as well when he comes up. I just think that this team is not very versatile right now. They're not able to respond to the day-to-day changes of a major league season, 162 games. And so you're asking guys who, really when this team is operating at full capacity, they have optionality. There is no optionality. Some of it is chosen. Some of it is chosen by the organization by continuing to trot out Yuli Gurriel every day, or what are we doing with Martin Maldonado at this point? I think that the wild pitch call was a little bit generous yesterday. I think that looked a little bit past ball-ish to me.
Very past ball-ish.
But a lot of this is just simply a matter of the fact that, we are depleted. And when you have no optionality, you're going to be exposed, and teams can take advantage of that.
Yeah, and like the whole scoring in 4 out of 45 innings and not having any multi-run innings besides the 2-run home run speaks to just guys not getting it done, not looking to move the thing for the next guy. Tatis had a couple of moments this year where he got this weekend where he got accused of playing hero ball, and I don't know what else the guy's supposed to do. He's the only hitter in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. If your stars aren't starring, except for one, then it becomes incumbent on that guy to do something every single time at the plate. And that's a really hard time. Just ask the Angels, right? That's a really hard way to win, is asking your one star to do it all the time. A couple other just notes from Tampa before we get to really just offense in general. I saw I think, kind of the worst quality of play over the weekend from the Padres overall in terms of an error, back-to-back games by Xander Bogarts on routine plays that led to unearned runs. Manny Machado making another error. Manny's at -2 if you look at his defensive slider on Savant. He's like 15th percentile right now for third baseman. Does that mean he's going to finish there? Of course not. But he got off to a shit start defensively last year. We blamed the elbow. This year, he is off to a shit start defensively.
And it's definitely that blue gloves problem. That's what I blame entirely. That weird kind of City Connect glove.
Yeah, pick your poison in terms of why. But Manny's been bad so far. He's not going to finish that way, but he has been. Mason McCoy got doubled off on a fly ball to right field to end a game and dislocated his finger doing it. Earlier on the road trip, Gonzalez got thrown out trying to take advantage of Tyler Wade's good running play, and he turned it into a bad running play. And to the point that, the guy who will never say ill, Mike Schilt, even said a little bit, like, we're pressing a little bit as a team. I have seen that from the club here. I've seen them play some bad baseball. And the errors, when you're struggling, the errors just really, really stand out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm beyond struggling. Just 2 runs a game. Chris. No, you're good, dude.
I was just gonna say, I was talking a little bit earlier about the team strategy at the plate, and one of the things that we saw in the first half of the season is the team making making a lot of contact, but specifically not a ton of swing and miss. And I was just curious, and I went into Savant to see how that bears out. And actually, between the start of the season and April 17th, which was just before the Houston Astros series, the Padres had the lowest whiff rate in all of Major League Baseball, 21.1% as a team until April 17th. Since then, they've fallen precipitously to the point where they have the 9th worst at 26.1 in that 10-day span or whatever it's been since we went to Houston. So it's obviously a combination of you have different guys taking those at-bats who are going to have different approach styles, but the team has a different approach style in their, in the 9 games that they've played, compared to the games before that. So, I don't know. I when teams get in a funk like this, I said this in the Discord, but baseball is a 162 game season, and yet when you're in these moments, it feels like it's going to last forever. And Craig, I know you've talked about that in the past before, and I just feel like this is one of those moments that feels like it's going to last forever. But I think that we're going to see some regression probably within the next week. But I think the thing I'm really nervous for, just looking at it on the calendar, is these next 2 days against San Francisco, which is a shockingly important series this early in the season.
Yeah. Not to spoil, the end of the show, but there are better days ahead for the Padres. There's no question in my mind. There are better days ahead for the Padres. I am not going to throw out all of the things I said during the gassed up start to this year when I said my expectations are up to be a 90-win team. That hasn't changed. I still think we're looking at a 90-win team, the San Diego Padres. This group, if you ran this group this way out, they would go, 68 wins or something. This group is not a winning group. And the question is, when players come back, is the team's performance going to just turn on a dime, or is it going to take time? Because the time it takes could be the time that it takes to see the Padres. And this is not doomery. This is just trying to be realistic, looking at the water. That could be the time in which the Padres slide to 4th place in the division and then have to fight their way back out. Because what they're doing right now, they've got rocks attached to their ankles trying to swim against a tough current. Playing in the toughest division in baseball with Oscar Gonzalez hitting fifth and Yuli Gurriel on the team, and Martin Maldonado, presumably with pictures of somebody in a compromising position in the front office to keep his roster spot over Luis Campusano. Here's a fun fact. Luis Campusano is the only healthy position player on the 40-man roster that the Padres have not called up. Pretty wild.
Wow. I did not know that. That's amazing.
Like, he's actually hitting the best of the call-up group.
Greg, I had no idea. That is truly unbelievable. Like, to the point where that feels super personal. Does it not?
Yes. That's why I asked the question. Wasn't it on group therapy, Chris? I asked the question, is Campusano just such an asshole that they just won't call him up? They just feel like they're better off without him, but they can't find a trade partner, so he's just going to do whatever he does at El Paso until the next thing happens? Like,
yeah, and they've got, one guy who doesn't play a position or hit already on the team. So, like, sorry, we know you can't play a position, and we're going to assume you can't hit Major League Baseball, and we already got one of those, so you can't do it. As long as Martin Maldonado is given this leeway, this runway, as long as this experiment continues, he's going to be down there, man. And there's no other option besides Campusano. They traded away Brett Sullivan, their catcher number 4 in the organization, for help in the outfield in the form of Bryce Johnson. So catching was always going to be a problem. We worried about it this winter when we saw first basemen and catchers become, like the first 10 free agents off the board. And the Padres watch Kyle Higashioka leave and everybody else sign. And like Elias Diaz and oh my goodness, Yasmani Grandal were the remaining 2 options of like playable catchers. And Yasmani has I think it's June 1st, but it might be in May when he has to be added to a major league roster or he gets released from whatever organization.
It's May 1st, yeah. He has an opt-out if he's not on a major league roster.
So like that's a legitimate option. We've talked about it before. And if Campusano is persona non grata in the Padres organization and they are leaving him down there so that he can dot it and be some sort of asset come trade time, so be it. I feel like the club is going to have problems no matter what, even when our guys are back. Like, they're going to come back and Jackson Merrill's going to help that whiff rate right away, right? And Jacob Cronenworth's going to add thump in the middle of the lineup that they don't have. But catching in left field, as we said all off season, are still little wasteland spots, and they haven't filled them.
Last thing I wanted to say about the Tampa series before we move on is that, well, I'll just build off this. I am positive Campusano would be hitting third for the Rays. Like, they wouldn't care about the other stuff.
They're carrying 2 catchers that have like 40 WRC pluses too. So maybe we're seeing a look into the future right there, Craig.
And I'm not trying to say Rays do good, Padres do bad, but I just want to note that Chandler Simpson did something this weekend that I hadn't seen since the very first time the Rays, who were at that time the Devil Rays, came to Petco Park. When
this is a Carl Crawford story.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. The first time the Devil Rays came to Petco Park, they put on a clinic on how to win at Petco Park. And the poster boy was Carl Crawford, who did everything right that series. And basically, he had the series that Chandler Simpson had, essentially. Like, just, except he probably hit a homer or a few triples or something because he was Carl Crawford. But, I mean, Chandler Simpson got on base every series, got a big hit every series, literally robbed a home run from Manny Machado, had the most exuberant celebration of a home run robber I think I've ever seen in the bigs. He was a 2-out pest. He would get on and create havoc on the base paths. He caught everything. Like, he was a problem. He was a legit problem that the Padres couldn't stop that affected every single game positively of the 3. He affected 3 of 3 games positively for the Tampa Bay Rays. And, he's gone. Good. Don't have to see him the rest of the year. But it kind of stung in that sense. Like, I'd rather be us than the Rays 10 of 10 days, even having a horrible fucking contract that we're going to have to deal with, quick precursor to the next segment. But I'd rather have that than have the college baseball new team every 3 years, Tampa Bay Rays way of existence. But the good thing is they let their young players play and
yes,
they extract that value.
Yes. The Rays, like Padres 1 through 10 on the roster, you're taking it any day of the week. But if you look at organizational depth, you look at Rays 20 through 40, you're definitely taking that. And that's a result from the approach you just said, Craig. They're giving those guys at bats. Yuli Gurriel has taken away at bats from young Padres who could have had a chance to establish themselves a little bit. Tirso doesn't look amazing so far this year, but he's had 16 at bats. His approach has been fine. He's not striking out at all, which is a hell of a lot more than you could say for Yuli Gurriel. And this is going to not just bite them this year when they're trying to win games on the margins against a very tough National League field. It's going to bite them down the line because it's more of an approach thing. We see it every year. We see 2-3 roster spots go to guys who have no developmental ceiling in front of them. They only have floors, and you're betting on the floors, and you're betting on old guys who tend to have the floors fall out beneath them. So, and this is why we're at with Martin Maldonado.
Well, let me ask you something, because when we put the menu together, you mentioned this, how Mike Schilt stood up after yesterday's game, was like, blame me, shoot the arrows at me. And then AC then kind of made that part of his column or his newsletter today, like, yeah, right, Mike. We're at the Mike Schilt wants blame stage of things going wrong for the Padres. And then in our notes, you were like, no, Mike's right. He's a problem. So what's Mike Schilt doing wrong, Chris?
Mike Schilt had a bad game yesterday, man, and it's not all his fault. It has to do with how the roster is constructed. It came up in the 8th, Padres down 1. Connor Joe gets on base right away. He leads off the inning with a walk. And what does Mike Schilt do at that moment? He like just watching Connor Joe walk up to first base. He has Mason McCoy sitting down on the bench. He may have a hurt finger, but that guy runs really good. And it's a 1-run game, and you really don't want to get into a double play, right? So maybe we should consider doing that. He doesn't do that. What happens is right-handed Jose Iglesias comes up against a left-handed reliever and bunts to stay out of that double play. He bunts. Connor Joe runs to second base. There is now 1 out, and then what does Mike Schilt do? Then he puts in Mason McCoy on second base. So you've burned that position player regardless if that was your fear in not doing it in the first time, and you've given away that out. You've given away that out with 8 and 9 in the lineup coming up, and only 2 outs to give before you get to Fernando Tatis Jr. I forget who was hitting 8 or not, hitting 8 last night. One of the position 9 was Maldonado, who got pinch hit by Elias Diaz. I can't remember who was friggin' hitting.
It's probably Wade.
8. I thought Wade was a little higher yesterday. It was I'll just get to it. Yeah, it was. It was Tyler Wade, and he struck out. So Tyler Wade, like the guy who you could have had bunting, it just seemed like he was outmatched. And in between, after Tyler Wade struck out, Kevin Cash went to his bullpen and brought in Edwin Uceta, knowing that he would face Tatis regardless. And then that platoon advantage went away. So I just thought it was really curious that Jose Iglesias, coming up against his platoon split, gets told to put down a sacrifice bunt, or at least told not to swing away. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice in deciding not to tell that guy to hit. and then you burn your pinch runner anyway, but only after the runner gets to second. I just thought it was a little bit getting outmatched late in the game when we haven't seen that from Mike Shildt much at all.
Interesting take. I don't disagree with the logic of what you presented here. I'm going to build off it in this sense. I haven't liked how Mike has been using Jose, specifically that he has just kind of parked Iglesias 7, sometimes 6, but he's just parked him down there 7. And I feel like he's on an island to himself. If you're going to be a right-hand dominant lineup, if all your top lefties are hurt, the logic has been, well, now we're going to take our 4th best lefty and we're going to put him up in the number 2 spot, and we're going to see if that works. It hasn't worked. He's 1 for 19, Gavin Sheets, with 9 strikeouts since his promotion. I think Jose Iglesias, the current lineup, he's probably the 3rd best hitter in it. At worst, he's the 4th.
Yeah, swap him with Bogey all day long for sure.
Yes. So I would either have him hit 2nd or 4th in the lineup. I would hit him between Tatis and Machado to try and give yourself a chance to get 3 straight hits. God forbid. Right now it's like Tatis gets on, Sheets strikes out, Machado's pressing, because he knows he's the only dude, and behind him is, frankly, one of the most disappointing players in Padres history. Sorry, yes. We're going to get into it, but Xander, automatic failure Bogarts, a player who just every time doesn't come through. He is so far. I mean, I've watched a lot of Padres baseball since 1990, and right now I feel like Xander is top of the list for players who just don't come through, who just every time don't come through. And now we're transitioning because we got to talk about the things that are wrong for this lineup. Obviously, the team is the top guys are hurt. But what's our hierarchy of this? Okay, I want to get into this. Okay, here's 4 things. I thought of 4 things that are going wrong for the Padres. 1, stars not starring. That's just kind of Manny is in a slump, right? Tatis is all alone. Manny is in a slump. I can't even count Xander as a star anymore. When has he been a star for the Padres? He hasn't. Maybe Xander just ain't it.
1 month. Yeah. Yep. 1 month in 2023.
April 23, right? Yep. Maybe Xander just ain't it. Maybe he's just not a good ball player. Maybe he just ain't it. The catchers suck and the call-ups suck. These are 4 buckets of concern. I'd really like to start with Xander, though. A couple days ago, I just went through and I posted it in our Discord. I posted on Blue Sky. I added it all up. Like, Xander Bogarts has been here for 2 years and, 6 weeks of baseball. And that whole time, with a very small sample outside of it, he's hit in the middle of the Padres lineup. Like, there was a brief time last year that he hit 6th for the team. I don't think he's really regularly ever hit lower than 6th. But most of the time he's been here, he's hit 4th, 5th, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. He's been one of those spots, or leadoff. But if you put runners on base, Xander Bogarts is useless. He's useless. Guys, in the entirety of his time with the Padres, this blew me away. This is 250 at bats now. Okay? He's hit 215 with runners in scoring position. He has 15 extra base hits with runners in scoring position for the Padres. Most of those were a year ago. The homers were 2 years ago. Since it's a double occasionally for Xander Bogarts. But in that same period of time, with runners in scoring position, he's grounded into 19 double plays. And that's wild to me. Because you have to be in a specific situation to ground into a double play with runners in scoring position. right? You have to have multiple guys on, at least first and second, and it can't be with 2 outs because you can't ground into a double play with 2 outs. So he's taken the biggest situations for the Padres, the bases loaded spots, the first and second nobody out spots, and more times he's turned that into nothing with a double play than he has turned it into something with a loud hit into a gap or, God forbid, over a fence. Of course, Xander Bogarts has no homers this year. He has gone 16 consecutive games without a run batted in. And he has never hit lower than 5th in the lineup in any one of those 16 games. 16 games in a row, parked cleanup. No RBI. Every time he fucking fails. He fails and he flails. And right now, I have a really hard time, and I'm sorry. I think we've been really fair to Xander Bogarts over time. I think we've been very deferential to what he's done in the past and his quality clubhouse character and his accountability, and he's undoubtedly a very handsome individual. You know, he's got beautiful eyes and a steely look, and you know, like you wish the best for Xander Bogarts. Xander Bogarts maybe just sucks. Like, if he had one shred of Eric Hosmer's attitude, we'd be calling for fucking Bogart boycotts. We'd be making anti-Bogarts t-shirts. Like, his character is the only thing keeping us from just throwing him in a fucking dustbin right now, guys. I mean, I can't help but look at the Padres right now and say, what's the number one problem on the team? The number one problem is you have a prestige player, top 3 payroll player, playing the premier defensive position horribly, while simultaneously sucking a hole out of the 4 spot of your lineup. Xander Bogarts is a problem for this team. I feel like he's the number one problem right now. Well, we can make an argument, but that's my case.
Yeah, I think Xander, if anything, he is a avatar, a metaphor, a representation of what I've been saying on this show for a few weeks now is kind of the institutional problem of this team, which is that despite all of the good decisions it's made in the last few years and the way that AJ Preller has improved as a general manager, its fatal flaw, its hamartia, so to speak, is it way overvalues veteran leadership in its decision making. And that's been that was the flavor, the essence that AJ Preller hitched his wagon to when he and Peter Seidler decided to sign mega contracts with these guys with the team. They committed to, we are going to be a team that values veteran leadership, and we are committing a dollar amount to that and saying that is worth something to us. And I think that the team is going to continue so long as Mike Schilt is the manager, and probably so long as AJ Preller, the general manager, committing to, hey, look, Xander Bogarts is our guy, and he hits 4th. He doesn't hit lower than 6th in the lineup, let's say, which I think is the lowest I've ever seen him hit. And I just don't see that changing for the team in the future, frankly, no matter how bad it gets, because right now Xander has a lower slugging percentage than his on base percentage, which to me is always the hallmark for like stinky butthole, like guy at the plate. And if I ever see that on a stat line, I'm like, oh, he's not having a good year. And this is our star. This is our cleanup hitter.
Let's not give him the singular star on the San Diego Padres.
Sure.
He is not having the worst start of a season in his career. The worst start to a season of his career was last year, and he went on to raise his OPS about 100 points through 28 games. He had a 586 OPS. He had hit 2 home runs, believe it or not. And by the end of the year, I want to say he was around a 688 OPS. So just the bloomers advocate here. Maybe Xander's got a 100 increase in that in him. And that then he's into 760s, and we're talking about how Xander Bogarts is just fine again. And that's my bloomer take. Is like maybe he'll be just fine eventually this year.
I love that the take is, you see, last year Xander was shitty, but instead he turned into sticky body smelly.
Yeah.
Just imagine
what bouquet of aroma we can get this year from Xander Bogarts. Yeah, it's guys. The one thing I liked about last year was that Xander got taken off short for a legitimately better shortstop. And then Kim didn't have his best year at short, and everyone wanted to rip him. But I hope you see now what the difference is.
Yeah, when you have
but
we missed the hell out of him.
Yeah, consistently unreliable at shortstop, who's boxing routine plays. And those are the plays that kill teams when they're in low margin situations, right? Michael King had to pitch in a no margin for error situation. And then he got the wrong base runner led on base because Bogarts, what should have been a one pitch out, Bogarts took that play and threw it low. And yes, Gavin Sheets should have dug it out. Like, Sheets was bad on the other side too. But $25 million shortstop, routine play, let's go ahead and hit the chest on that throw. And instead it was literally, Raphie, it reminded me immediately of the pods above replacement that you guys did in 2023 that just did a big supercut of Xander Bogarts ground balls on the left side that he underthrew. That he just kind of randomly underthrew and left it to the first baseman's hop as to whether he was going to be able to scoop it or not. And that was the play that created the run that was the difference in the game that day. Just like Sunday, the whole game changed because the ump blew a fucking call. Randy Vasquez threw strike 3 right on the low border, but like fully inside the border to walk off the mound. And then he didn't get that call, and he's not good enough to get it twice. Like, he's just not good enough to get it twice. And he gave up the next 3 base runners, and he was out of the game, and the run scored, and the team wasn't able to get another run, and they weren't able to win. Like, when you're playing on the low margins, the little things really, really matter. And Xander's missing on the little things as well as the big things.
Didn't also the runner on the pop-up that he either didn't call off Jose Iglesias for, or didn't, that pop out to second base that Xander got himself into and dropped. Didn't that runner score as well?
Yeah, it's been unearned runs. It's been terrible at bats in critical situations, and it's been a walk here and there with absolutely no extra base power at all.
I'm never going to be the guy to boo anyone. I don't boo at the game. I don't boo the Padres. It's just not who I am. But if you want to, I definitely heard them on the broadcast Sunday night, and I don't blame fans for letting that out right now. And maybe the guy needs to hear it.
I think we also, just because we've made our Xander points clear, I think it's also only appropriate that we just say that Manny has not been holding up his end of the bargain either.
He's been terrible.
And I really look at the two of them as a tandem, both because they have signed deals for comparable lengths and will be here an equal amount of time. They're playing next to each other in the infield. And I mean, just looking at it right now, combined on the season, Manny and Xander have 2 home runs and 7 grounds into double plays.
I would just, like, my only counter to that would be look at Manny Machado's Savant page, and like, he's putting in quality at bats. He's putting in, the right approach. He's just not getting lucky. Like, current xWOBA is 421 on Manny.
401. It's fairly good.
Like, the contact's good, and the approach is good. Not a lot of good luck. And then, fucking Chandler Simpson,
Yeah, I'm not worried about Manny. I gave you 4 buckets. The one that I just want to throw out is stars not starring. Manny is undoubtedly slumping.
Yeah, he's
offensively and defensively. And I have seen him slump every year of his Padres career. He has not had one season where he went start, maybe the 2020, I don't know. But like that doesn't count. It's not a real year. But every full year, Manny Machado has had a period of being bad, and he's had a period of being insanely hot and carrying the team. So I have to take the bad with the good, and I take this as a classic early season. Manny's not really hitting for power. He's not great defensively. He was just this way last year. By the end of the year, he was 30 homers and great plays at third base. So not worried about him. Tatis chased in a critical at bat in a way I hadn't seen him all year. What are you going to expect? He's the only guy right now. It's so hard for him to pass the baton when the baton's being passed to Gavin Sheets, and Gavin Sheets is treating it like a fucking tennis racket. You know, like it's not happening. So my next highest on my list of worries is catcher, because the catchers are 3 for their last 35. And to be very honest, guys, I believe this to be their actual talent level. Like, 100%. I think they'll be 3 for their next 35 and 3 for the next 35 after that and 3 for the next 35 after that and so on and so forth for the rest of the year. I think we have the worst catching combo in baseball.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. And also, I'll just say that one of the underrated parts of the Padres, 14-5 start was that they had a little catcher hot pocket. Now, the catcher hot pocket's not like what a normal catcher hot pocket would be for another team. I believe they had something like an 83 WRC plus in that time. And for them, that qualifies as a hot pocket. But, you look at what they've been now, 3 for their last 35. And outside of an Elias Diaz home run last week, really not much pop to discuss. Martin Maldonado ran into one in Chicago as well, but that was, I think, 3 weeks ago at this point. I think you're right, Craig. I think this is probably the worst tandem right now in baseball.
It would be one thing if Martin Maldonado was being a defensive wizard, getting guys out on the base pass left and right, and being a complete vacuum at home plate. But he should be in sole possession of Major League Baseball's lead for pass balls. He's not, because of a scorer error that you alluded to, Raphie. And he doesn't pass any eye test of being the defensive wizard. I'm sure he's giving great notes in the dugout. As we said, there's another role for that particular job title, and another job title for that particular role, and it doesn't need to be major league player. It just comes to like where's the improvement is like kind of my thing. Like, you have to trade, and that, like, I feel like between this item on our list, Craig, and the next one, it's going to lead to the club having to move guys from where they're deep on the team and make a trade and get better in the spots where they're bad.
Well, I agree, because the last bucket is minor league call-ups, and there's just no question that when the Padres have called down to AAA, what they've gotten has been quadruple A production, a 191 average, over 89 at-bats, and just 3 lousy extra base hits. And that's from everyone. That's from Joe and Gonzalez and all the way down, and Wade and everyone. Wade is propping up those numbers because he has the extra base hits. He has the triple, double, like everyone else. I think Gonzalez has 1 double. And that's, it's really been, unfortunately, what we kind of figured, a team that's not super deep, that doesn't have a lot down there, and it's enough to handle a day or a weekend. But when you give them a month, this is what you get. You get a month of nothing. And after the 3 spot in the lineup, the Padres have had a month of nothing.
Yeah. Tyler Wade accounts for half of the hits of all of the major league call-up. He has 9 hits in those total 89 at-bats. So, I mean, look, I was trying to figure out a part in the show to bring this up, and I never really got one that was great, but I'll bring it up right now. The team as a whole before April 17th, again, that's right before the Astros series, they had a BAPIP, a batting average on balls in play, of 315 as a team. That was the 5th best in the league. Since then, they're down to 250. The league BAPIP on the season so far has been 287. So what does that mean? What do I take away from that? It means that the offense probably wasn't as good as it was before April 17th, and it probably isn't as bad as it is right now, in terms of results. So I do think that we're going to start to see some regression on both sides, but I don't think that if you roll out these 6 minor league call-ups for another 89 at-bats, I don't know that they're going to all hit 191 again, just purely by the fact that some more bloops are going to fall in, like whatever. The point is that for the every Gavin Sheet or even last year David Peralta or Donovan Solano, there are hundreds of guys who come up and shuttle up and just aren't that quality. And the Padres in recent memory have had really good luck in that department. And I think have kind of changed the expectations for what these guys normally are, which is closer to what we're seeing now.
From an ex-girlfriend, desperate perspective, late night call, David Peralta is out there. Like,
wow.
Is there any reason not to call David Peralta? Do we not think David Peralta in 3 weeks wouldn't be better than Turso or Nellis? I mean, the Padres thought that definitively last year. They were right. And I'm not to pick on Turso, but he hasn't shown me one thing in the big leagues. He's shown me the ground ball merchant that he was all the way through his minor league career, hitting into ground ball double plays, grounding out. I know he had the one Detroit fly ball. I hope we're not talking about that, 20 years from now at the Ornelas family reunion about doggone it, Turso would have had a homer. I would just say
the kid has gotten 16 at-bats, 16 plate appearances. Like, it's very new.
What has he shown me? Nothing.
He's showing you a fantastic approach at the plate. He doesn't chase. He gets bat on the ball. He's had no luck with it. It hasn't been particularly hard contact. He hit one. He should have his first major league homer, but didn't because he played in Detroit. Like, I'm just saying, if you're gonna shit on guys, like, shit on the guys that are blocking the way for at least to him have more than 16 plate appearances, right? Yuli Gurriel's gotten almost 3 times as many plate appearances as him. Connor Joe, you can put in the same exact file as Turso. Like, we didn't get to see anything out of him, and he had to start his year in AAA. So, like, these guys haven't been given the opportunity. They went to Jason Hayward, who was worse, arguably, like, just as bad. So, like, I don't think Tirso's performed like a major leaguer. I think it'll be perfectly great for him to get more at bats in AAA. But, like, when he's up, I'd love to see the opportunity go towards guys like him than like we've talked about already, which is the vets.
They're not getting rid of Yuli Gurriel soon, unfortunately, because they would have by now if they were going to. But the Oscar Gonzalez experiment is over for me.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
I just
I'd rather
I think of all the guys you just mentioned. Yeah, and like he was the guy, Craig, when you said, send a babe you up text to David Peralta. I was like, well, what's Oscar Gonzalez's line, and could he be better than that? And Oscar Gonzalez so far in 44 plate appearances is hitting 256, 273, 279. That's a 58 WRC plus.
Yeah.
I do think David Peralta could put that up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do. Yeah.
And he would fit in, and he would be at least a left-handed stick off the bench that might hit a homer. I mean, God, by the middle of the year last year, he figured out how to hit homers, and he hit some homers for this team. I just don't think that what we've got is good enough to expect that it's going to get better the next turn around the sun, and that things are just going to be okay on this road trip that comes up after this Giants series, which is a pretty fucking tough road trip.
Are you willing to pull from the one unit on the team, which is strong and has depth, which is the bullpen, to try to bring in somebody else? Or are we hoping on David Peralta or JD Martinez or somebody who's still sitting there on the market?
JD Martinez. I mean, if you could sign JD Martinez, why haven't you signed him?
You can. He's there. He's just sitting there.
It costs money and maybe ideology or something. I don't know, but like, I mean,
like, sorry, no
I
acronym names.
Yeah.
Nope, been in that business
obviously,
before.
JD Martinez is better than most of the hitters on the Padres, like that on the current Padres. That's clear. So I have no problem doing something like that. The Padres are going to get their players back. Merrill is going to be back. Cronenworth is going to be back. Arise is going to be back. Those three players are going to return sooner than later. Hayward is going to be back. I'm sorry, he's better than the crapola of Oscar Gonzalez. Those players are going to be back. The catcher situation, that's not going to improve. That's why I've got that higher up on my list. Xander, he has to improve himself, but the rest of it is going to improve when the injured players come back, and then we won't have to worry about this. But I do want to see Maldonado off the team, Gurriel off the team, and I'd love to see a guy like a Peralta get a chance, over what we've got going right now. And honestly, Wade should stick around as long as he can keep hitting, and
Wade
and
and
keep
Iglesias, like those guys, those are the guys. Those are like your bench guys that are valuable and versatile and needed, right?
Yeah. Quickly to the pitching, bullpen good, right?
Bullpen great.
Bullpen
Amazing.
Incredibly good. Burgert showed up, nice. That was nice.
Yeah, strikeout.
Everyone's got a role. Wandy good. Yuki does things. Everyone good. Bullpen good. Keep it up. Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease leaking money. And I'm sure he's going to have a Snell-like finish to the year. I hope so, for the Padres' sake and for his contract's sake. But I got to say the same thing I said around this time in 2023, which is I really enjoy Dylan Cease and I look forward to him pitching for his next team. Like, I don't want to bet
Blake Snell. Yeah.
What I said about Blake. Yeah. And I've still got a Blake Snell jersey in my, closet. Like, I liked Blake. He won the Cy Young that year, but thank God the Padres aren't on the hook for his, my shoulder hurts and I don't know when I'm going to come back contract. Like,
Ruben would have never let him get hurt. Ruben would have kept our baby safe.
I'm sorry. Cease is, my Believometer in Cease is right where it was doing my waffle in the 5th inning of Game 4 of the division series on my phone. Like, it's not moved one whit. It's right at, I don't trust you for anything, bro. I don't trust you for anything.
I like that he shaved. That was nice.
I didn't. I thought that was a panic move, man.
It was a panic move, but he needed to make a panic move.
He should panic.
Stay the course. He's talking about living in the forest with bears. You don't panic around bears.
The truth of the matter is that he really hasn't pitched all that bad outside of that one inning in Sacramento this year. I mean, truly, if you were to isolate his entire thing,
I'm with you. Like, he's gonna be better. The results are gonna improve with Dylan Cease. They just are.
They are, but I ain't gonna trust him one bit more, even when they do. Like, they will improve, but he's that guy. Oh, 4 shutout innings for Dylan Cease. This kid's locked in. Let's go to Bob Scanlon for a breakdown. All of a sudden,
that one's gone.
Yeah. All of a sudden, the top of the strike zone is a mystery to the guy. All of a sudden, it's up here, up here, up here, non-competitive, heart of the zone, heart of the zone, heart of the zone. Like, I'm sorry. He's got this. He's Nuke LaLoosh. Like, he's got the $1 million stuff. He's got the 10-cent head. It doesn't all come together. I think he'd be someone I'd personally enjoy being around. Like, I really do. I think he's got a lot of Adam Eaton in him.
That's just the disc golf. That's the only reason you fucking say that.
Second week in a row, he said
there is Adam
Dylan
Eaton.
Cease is like Adam Eaton. It's so funny to me.
Just go tell him, Craig. Tell him you got him in B-League. And you want him to do really well.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, Dylan, I've got you in fantasy tonight. Let's go. Oh, watch the ball fly over the fence. I'm sorry. They needed him. King got beat on a Bogarts error. It was a Saturday night at home. And Eddie Bogarts in our Discord said, like, I'm going out to hope that Dylan Cease remembers that this is a contract year and he's an ace. And the answer was no. He walked 4 and couldn't get out of the 5th inning in a game that they needed him. He walked 4. He couldn't get out of the 5th inning. He struggled again. He's not a stopper. He's not an ace. He's a pitcher who gets hot. Like Blake gets hot. Like he'll get hot and there'll be 8 straight starts where he'll allow 4 hits per 9 innings and strike out 12. Amazing. And then the next time in front of a sellout crowd on Fox on a Saturday evening, 4 walks, can't get out of the 5th inning. Like that's the guy that we've got for another 5 months. And if we traded him, I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't. The only problem is there's no one behind him. Like when I watch Randy Vasquez and Kyle Hart, I want to puke. So
Stephen Kolick's just hanging down there.
Yeah, I mean, Kolick, Bergert, whatever. We're not deep. By the way, Martin Perez, Zorn blew out. Like some of the other options we had.
Quintana is the only one. Quintana's the one that I'll be mad about all year because he always does what he's doing again.
I know. Yeah, that would have been a good one. But Vasquez, 2 weeks ago, I like each time those are burning in my ears, like the words I said. Like I'm open-minded to Vasquez being good. Like Vasquez is not good.
He's good.
He's not good.
He's fine as the 5th starter, 50-50, coin toss who you get. Like he's okay there, but like if you're asking him to be 3rd, it's gonna be a clenchy season.
Yeah, it's.
This has been a tough podcast, so I just want to like reset and remind folks that Jackson Merrill, Jake Cronenworth, Yu Darvish, Matt Waldron,
right,
Luis Ariz, they're all coming back at some point or another. This team is far from its final form. This is I was getting into it on the Discord. I can't remember. I'm sorry who it was with. Anyway, we were having a good discussion, but like that they were saying how like this felt like one of these moments that we were going to look back on at the end of the season when the division slips us by. And I just don't know that I'm quite there yet. I think that this stretch has been obviously not great, but like we haven't had our getting swept by the Rockies moment yet, in my opinion. We've had a bad stretch, but we haven't had our, oh shit, this was like a truly like winnable situation where the team's playing at full strength and we've just booted it. Like the team 17-11 would have taken that. I'm not trying to say that they haven't been playing shitty. They've been playing really bad the last 9 games, but would have taken that at the beginning of the season. So
I'll just say they haven't been getting blown out. Like they've been in every game. It's just they can't win on the margins because their lineup is 1/3 AAA.
They haven't been getting blown out because they literally I was just looking up the best bullpen in baseball.
Yeah,
the best
and that's all I'm saying is hang your hat on the pitching. That like there doesn't seem to be like,
but they haven't been in every game because there were those. I think most of the last 9 games
for every game, Raphie. They've been in slam
but like that entails you being able to hit the ball over the fence, which I think if anyone's watched the last 9 games, other than Fernando Tatis Jr., have you thought that anyone coming up to the plate was going to hit a home run?
No,
anyone, including Manny,
time.
who
no.
I will say, Chris, like until you said go to his Savant page, I had it. And Manny right now in his Padres career, in his Major League Baseball career, has the highest expected numbers that he's ever had. He is due for some massive regression if he keeps hitting the ball like this. I apologize for not acknowledging that, and thank you for pointing that out.
I'm always here to be your metrics guy, Raphie.
Thank you. But I was curious because what was the question that I posed to you guys at the beginning of the season? How are we going to solve the 180 home run problem? Right now, the team has 24 home runs on the season. Do any of you have a guess at what they're pacing for a 162 game season?
That would be about 130, right?
150.
Chris? Right in the middle, guys. 139 home runs right now.
Yeah.
That's the pace they're going at.
Well, it'll warm up in the summer, and Manny will hit home runs, and hopefully Xander isn't going to hit 6 homers this year. Right now, I wonder if he'll hit 1, but he's supposed to hit at least 15 homers this year. Like, I was promised 15 homers. Remember Higashioka's promise? Like, I was promised some homers from this guy. Like, hit some fucking home runs. But listen, you're absolutely right. And, we said it at the beginning and said it over and over. You're missing your top 3 left-handed hitters. So here's the thing. My suggested title for the show today was Withdrawals, because we're in a need for runs that makes us feel like we're in withdrawal right now, that we need a fix, but also because this team had banked wins. They banked 15 wins in their first 19 games. They banked a plus 11. They've withdrawn half of that, basically. Now they're at 6 over. It's pretty quick to have withdrawn half of that, quicker than you wanted to, right? A 4-game losing streak, those are the things good teams avoid. The reason the Padres struggled, that they had 4 5-game losing streaks in the first 100 games of the year. And then they never lost more than 2 or 3 in a row the rest of the way when they got hot. So losing games in a row is a problem, right? They will be better. Better days are ahead. But the immediate future of the San Diego Padres is a 2-game set against San Francisco. You're going to see Webb in one of those games. You're going to pitch 2 good pitchers in Pivetta and King in those games. And then it's a 9-game road trip. And that's a road trip where you'd like to think you'd get healthy. You theoretically, according to projected starters on ESPN, miss Skeens going to Pittsburgh. That'll be 3 series opportunities that you've missed Skeens. That's great. Last year, the Padres swept Pittsburgh in 6 games. Can they sweep Pittsburgh? Then they go to the Yankees. Well, they'll see Rodon and Fried, 2 tough left-handers. Then they go to the Rockies. And you'd love to get fat against Colorado, obviously, but Coors Field and San Diego haven't always been friends. My point is this. You've withdrawn half of the bank already. The next 11 games, if you 3-8 again, you're going to have withdrawn the whole bank, save 1. Yeah. You're going to be a game over 500 if you 3-8 again, at which point you're going to be in the middle. You're going to be there with the Reds and the fucking Pirates and all these other muddy teams, and wherever the Braves are at that point of the year. You're going to be down in that mess instead of where you want to be, which is in the elite class running with the elite pack, which is where the Padres have been. So I'm not panicking. I am noting that the situation right now is a Padres team set up to lose, facing a situation where if they lose again, just the way they've lost the last 2 weeks, they're gonna have given away the whole game in terms of what they've built up. So I don't think they can afford necessarily to do that. I think they need to get solutions right away. The one thing I would say at the 1 hour, 8-minute mark, which we've danced around, is the one fucking guy they haven't called up. I would call up Camposano tomorrow. I would DFA Gurriel tomorrow. And I would throw his ass into the right-handed DH slot immediately and see if he got a hit. I would literally just roll the dice and see if the guy got a hit. And if he got a couple of hits, if that led to a couple of runs, and if they got a couple of runs, if that led to a win, and to get this team going again. This team needs a spark. They need something to get it going again, and it ain't going to be Yuli. So, can we play the last card we've got over here on my bench? Can I play my last card? Let's play the last card.
That flurry of moves has to happen. Like that Yuli jettison, along with the corresponding trajectory being shaped for the roster with a little bit more flexibility. The Padres did call up a guy that I had never heard of this week. That was kind of a fun thing. David Morgan got called up from AAA, and I was like, why are they calling up this guy?
From Double A. From Double A, wasn't it?
Did I say Triple A? I'm sorry, I meant
Yeah.
Double A. I was literally looking at Double A. Then I was thinking San Antonio, but yeah, I looked at his Fangraphs page, and our guy in 7 games so far this year, in 8.2 innings pitched, has struck out 19 guys. Like, his K rate is a very sustainable 19.73. So that's why he's gotten this call up kind of out of nowhere, because nobody can hit him right now. And AJ wanted to take a little bit closer look. And I know he'll only come into a game if it gets ugly, but gosh darn it, I kind of want to see it.
I wanted to shoot a Believometer question your guys' way, just because we did the Believometer a few weeks ago. I thought it was a good bit of fun, and so my Believometer question: so how much do you believe on a 1 to 10 scale the following statement? The Padres have spent their last day in the NL West lead this year already.
Oh, you bastard! That's the opposite of a Believometer.
That's what do you mean? How much on a 1 to 10 scale? The Padres. So I'll phrase it in a more clear way. The Padres will never regain the lead in the NL West in 2025. How much do you believe that statement?
Positive way.
No, I said it in a clearer way.
Okay, go ahead, Craig. Do you have yours right away?
Okay, go ahead, Craig.
Craig, have fun.
I would put that statement at. Okay, see, here's the thing. They're a game and a half out right now. And they do have 2 teams to cover, but one of those teams is directly ahead of them. So in theory, the Padres could win 2 games this week and be back in first place.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, it's that easy. It could be easy. That way.
It's basically, how likely do you think that is?
I'm like a 9.3 on that.
That it's that they have spent their last day in first place.
They have played their last day in first place. Yeah. Yeah. I could see them fall a couple more games behind here and then have LA take off the way that you expect them to. And then
I'm going to do what I always do in these times of being tried, and I'm going to turn to the cold hard numbers. And right now they have a 37% chance to clinch a wild card, of a 5.1 chance to win the division. And that's my number on the Believometer. I'm a 5.1, man. The Dodgers are donkey dicks. Tyler Glasnow's shoulder is dead. Yeah, this is numberology from one of the biggest minds in numberology.
Our stats guy.
Our noted Ocean guy and number user, Chris Reed. Yeah. I'm like, man, we just asked this, and I upped it to over 50%. So I'm back down to 50%, man. The Dodgers have had a lot of things go wrong. Shohei is going to gamble on something and get carted away. The Giants are completely make-believe. Sleepy Bob is going to go to sleep. They're going to get right back in it, baby. We're gonna be back on top of that podium.
I feel like you're asking at the wrong time, but that's the point of the Believometer. I mean, like the real answer is probably, Chris, I actually think you're probably right, like right around half, because the best chance is now. The best chance is in the next 3 weeks to be in first place. But if they're not in first place in any of the next 3 weeks, then I would say the 20 weeks after that, it's almost impossible. So, it's got to happen now.
I think really, my methodology goes down to, I'm putting it at a 7 out of 10 that I believe that statement. So 30% chance in my mind that they have another day in the lead in the NL West. And you can just boil that down to, if you think it's about coin flip odds that they win the next 2 games, that's a 25% chance that they'll win back-to-back games. And, odds are that, that they'll at least be in the share of the lead with the Dodgers if they are able to do that, potentially. So and then adding in some extra uncertainty for anything that might happen in the next 2 weeks. Yeah, I'd say 7 out of 10, 70% they're probably not going to be back in the NL West lead, 30% that they will be. But I think that's
all of our numbers align with our archetypes, so that's a good bookend.
I just bring that up because it was not more than 2 weeks ago that, Craig, you asked a Believometer question. How much do you believe the statement the Padres are a deadlock for 90 wins?
Yeah,
so
deadlock.
so this is the point of the Believometer, is that,
right.
And I believe my answer then was 50-50. And
I was higher, and I'm still higher. I still think we're a 90-win team. I still think we're a 90-win team. And that doesn't mean that we spend another day in first place.
Yeah, Chris, what's your Believometer question?
Believometer, how likely is it that the Padres have immediate success after we release our next T-shirt?
1.7.
We're never leaving the T-shirt.
The thing I'm not understanding about the lore around our T-shirt curse is that it's certainly not a team curse, because we released the Waldron Cauldron T-shirt and the team became very good.
Exactly.
Waldron got bad,
team went
but the team got good.
Waldron, not so much.
Yeah. So the question is, what are the rules that people are establishing around our merchandise curse? Because I'm a little bit lost. Jackson Merrill certainly hasn't gotten worse since we released the shirt.
No.
He's been hurt.
If anything, he's getting better every day. I mean, honestly.
We hadn't even started designing the shirt until after he got hurt. So it's not even like that sort of thing either.
Should we focus only on the worst Padres then?
We need to focus on other teams' players. We need a Miggy Rojas shirt on the double.
Like a Kyle heart to heart shirt. Do we do we go for the absolute fringes to see we do the least damage possible?
Okay. Right. We're coming towards the end of the show, and I just wanted to ask Craig and Chris, because this is a fun thing that I love to do, is looking back and talking about old Padres stuff and remembering how much sicker it is that we're watching the 2025 Padres than other times. So yes, I was curious about that Tampa Bay Devil Rays series, Craig, when Carl Crawford came in, and he indeed hit 7 for 15 in that series with 2 triples and a couple of RBIs as well. And stole a couple of bases, and like you said, robbed some home runs and everything. He was out of his mind. 214 WRC plus in that series. I'm curious if you guys can name, this series took place between June 15th and June 17th, 2004. Can you name the 3 starters for the Padres that series?
Wow.
Okay. One more time.
June 15th to June 17th, 2004. The Tampa Bay Devil Rays came in and swept the Padres 5-2, 9-6, and 4-1. Who were the 3 starting pitchers for the San Diego Padres?
I've got a random ass guess. Is Ismael Valdez one of the 3?
You're thinking way too hard about this.
Oh no.
Wait. Craig, you're right.
Latos?
Craig, you're right.
Let's go.
Goodness.
Ismael, I was looking at the winning pitchers. I did not look at Ismael winning and losing pitchers. Ismael Valdez pitched a quality start in the middle game. 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 2 strikeouts.
You guys can finish the rest.
I'm good.
I already know what they are.
Matt Latos?
No.
2004.
2004.
I'm at the end. My brain has been.
Wells could have started.
An hour and a half.
Not Wells.
Okay.
Greg Maddux?
No.
That's 2000.
No, 2004.
My brain has no space and time right now. I'm completely.
Okay, Craig. You got Ismael Valdez. That's crazy. That you
I nailed that one.
You nailed that.
I might have been at that game. That might be why. Dustin Hermanson. I don't know.
No, that's too late. No. That's because I'm thinking Woody Williams and stuff, but Woody was already gone.
Well, no, Eaton could have. We hadn't traded him
yet.
Eaton
was one of them.
Okay,
the final game.
Okay,
there
so
you go.
This is the Woody Williams.
Yeah, all right. So
okay,
Eaton,
so
Valdez. That's 2.
Is Chris Young healthy? No.
No, that he hasn't been acquired yet. Eaton was traded for him.
That's right. Fuck.
This pitcher on June 15th, 2004, threw 5 innings, gave up 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts.
Sounds kind of Matt Clemente.
No,
Matt Clemente.
He wasn't there anymore.
He's gone.
We traded him for Mark Kotze years earlier.
Yeah, I'm completely fried.
I love listening.
Ollie Perez? I don't know. No, we already traded him. We traded him for Giles.
Should I give it to you?
Yeah.
You're gonna be so mad. Brian Lawrence.
Oh, my buddy B-Law. My little buddy.
Brian Lawrence, Ismael Valdez, and Adam Eaton.
Let's go. Let's go. That's good stuff. I liked that. That was fun. All right, let's wrap it up right there. Post-game shows coming up for the Giants series. And then on to the road. Group therapy for our patrons as well coming up on Thursday. You want to be part of those shows? Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. That's all you got to do. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. You could be part of a post-game show tomorrow if you sign up today. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. For Chris Reed, Raphie Cantor, I'm Craig Elsten. Go Padres. Score runs. Please score runs.